All right, here we are heading into round 4. Thanks for being with us here today at Nerd Rage Online. We're playing Modern, and if you're interested in other formats, we have our next event coming up on November 28th, which is Standard, playing for the same prize pool as today. We're going to bring that, not sure what it is, what the players are in action for today. So $1,000 split between the top 8 players, and the top 8. The entire top 8 gets invited to the next arena qualifier weekend, which this is just another way. If you're not, if you're a Magic Online player, or if you're just not having success on the arena ladder or not interested in playing on the arena ladder, this is another way to get that same payoff qualification into the arena qualifier weekend, which is basically the equivalent of a Pro Tour qualifier weekend. If that's, I don't know what terminology people are used to. If you're coming from the old days, you call it Pro Tour qualifier weekend. But yeah, playing Modern today, Standard next month, and then the end of our fall-winter season is our Showdown Championship, which is on December 20th. Yep. December 20th, which is actually a multi-format event. The formats haven't been locked in yet, but it's going to be a 2-format constructed event. Play on Magic Online for $2,500 total prize pool, and the winner gets an invite to the next set championship. So we're happy to bring that to you, and hopefully you guys are interested in playing or watching along as we are today. Caroline, what's the decks we've seen so far? Not the deck that you submitted, but the decks we've watched so far. Which one would you most like to play with?
Okay, so I think the deck I want to play with, I want to get really good with, is the 4-color variants. You know, they have the Omnath, they have some Planeswalkers, we have debate on what 5-drop they should have. That is the dream, right? That deck is super awesome. It really rewards high-level play, but there is some barrier to entry for me personally. I do actually use a rental service for most of my Moto collection, and that deck's actually insanely difficult to rent at the moment, just because of the cost of the cards. And it's also just a very, very tricky deck. And something you said like a couple rounds ago, which I still think about, was I was asking like which 5-drop is better. And you said, well, to be honest, you'd have to run so many games to know. And for me, one of the biggest challenges is I don't play that much Magic. I do work full time. I do other things, not leaving the house, but I do other things. And so I don't think I have the time to just run those matches over and over and over again. But in a dream situation, if I could play the 4-color deck well, I would. I think that is the coolest deck.
I mean, the reason it's the coolest deck is probably because it has the most colors, so it gets to play all the cool cards from all across the field.
Yeah.
But
can I reverse? Can I reverse the question?
Okay. The coolest deck's not always the best deck, though. So we're going to see this round. We're going to see 2 more decks try and take down 4-color decks. So our first matchup is Ricardo Sanchez playing against Thomas Loris. So this is going to be Eldrazi Tron takes at the 4-color deck.
Ooh, you said Tron. I'm in. I'm sitting up in my chair. I'm ready. Okay, what's going on with this Eldrazi Tron list? Nothing spicy. Well, do you have opinions on the Mazemind Tomes in this list?
So I did notice that both styles of Tron decks have adopted Mazemind Tome. I think it makes more sense in this version because there's a bigger hole in the mana curve here than there is in Green Tron, because you don't have Sylvan Scrying taking up some, and Ancient Stirrings taking up some of your early mana. So we'll see how that plays out. This is a matchup where the games are probably not going to be over right away, so you do have time to take advantage of it. Still, 3's a lot. Boy, I'm sure Thomas is thrilled that he chose to play a couple copies of All Is Dust main deck for this matchup.
Yes.
As opposed to in the mirror matchup or the near mirror last round, there weren't really any answers that just wiped everything out at once. Here we actually have it in the All Is Dust. So that card probably is going to play a big role in games that Thomas wins.
What are your thoughts on Chalice of the Void in the current meta? Like, we see a lot of different mana costs in these 4-color lists.
Well, it's definitely not good in the 4-color decks, unless you're planning on setting it to a number higher than 1, which doesn't seem too likely. I think players are getting ready. So if we have time for the other deck list, that's fine. Otherwise, we can go ahead and go right down to the table, the figurative table, since we're playing in virtual space. Here we go. Ricardo Sanchez, 4-color Planeswalkers with Time Warps.
I was doing a quick scan to see if there's anything pop out differently from Anderson's list. I don't recall a remand in Anderson's list, but everything else was looking fairly similar to me.
Yeah, I'm checking now, and it is. Anderson did have 1 remand and 3 Path Exiles in a bolt. So yeah, this might actually be identical.
Okay.
Anyway, we'll see how this plays out. I think this time around, Omnath is less of a luxury and maybe more of a necessity, as you know, it kind of, the Eldrazi creatures are big, and Omnath would help a lot in order to being able to kind of fend them off.
Mm-hmm. Well, Ricardo's opening hand a little threat light with only a Growth Spiral and a Teferi Time Raveler.
Yeah,
not a lot.
Thomas, so I really, having played a ton of Green Tron, I feel like Green Tron deserves to assemble Tron on turn 3.
Yes.
I do not feel like Eldrazi Tron deserves to assemble Tron on turn 3.
I also agree. It makes me angry.
Yeah, I know. I get so frustrated. And that's what we're going to see here. Thomas Loris is going to assemble Tron on turn 3. And hopefully, for his sake, he has something more to do than play a Matter Reshaper. But we will see.
He could play 2.
He could play 2. I guess that would be somewhat more respectable. But this is, again, with Eldrazi Tron, I mean, when you have access to all this mana, you need to do something with it. Thought on Seer is totally fine, and there it is.
It's particularly good against Ricardo's hand.
Do you play the Growth Spiral Response here?
I normally do, but I guess you can kind of assume that Thomas will take the Teferi, so you shouldn't? I don't know. Shouldn't you just give a second choice? I have no idea. I always debate about this. Ooh, yeah, Reshaper!
So the choice was to not play it in response, and the Teferi was chosen.
Oh, we missed. Okay, sorry. It was hidden.
Maze Mind Tome. Maze Mind Tome comes down. So, okay. That's fine. Now, Growth Spiral going off. And yeah, drawing Omnath would be spectacular here.
Let's see. Okay, how about instead we draw a land?
That's not as good.
Okay.
And Lightning Bolt also not as good. So, 3 Path to Exiles, 1 Lightning Bolt was the choice that seems to have been made by a number of these 4-color players. And in this particular case, not going to work out well.
Excuse me.
So turn is likely to be just cycle Rogran Tome, Triome, and hope to find a Path to Exile.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because we don't have anything juicy in our yard, but there was potentially some shenanigans with the sanctuary. But I want to just highlight Thomas's deck is very blinged out.
Yeah, yes, it is. We have
very, very.
In addition to the foils, we have the Maze Mind Tome. What is that? The
like extended border.
Yeah.
And this Karn is an alternate art Karn.
Yes,
this
it is.
Not the normal
and so is the expedition map, actually, because I didn't recognize it immediately on play. There's a coding. Okay, so this bolt will get to do something, as this Lucamel coding will have no value once the Karn is gone. But yeah, this is one of the good draws for Eldrazi Tron. A lot of stuff happening. Disruption, a clock, a Planeswalker, some card advantage stuff. Lots of things going well here.
Okay.
So fetch there. Oh wow. So I stumbled there. A few interesting things happened there. The Lightning Bolt was not cast at the end of the turn to kill the Karn, which meant that the coding could have.
The coding was not activated in upkeep, which surprised me.
I'm a little confused on what exactly happened there, as the okay. I mean, this works. This is like it would have been the same result either way. But if there was not a bolt in hand, then this seems like it was not the ideal way to develop the turn. We're playing on Magic Online. It's entirely possible that the stop wasn't set beforehand. That happens. Right. So that it may be as simple as that, as to why things happened the way they did there.
Well, I can tell you for sure what's happening is Ricardo has drawn a lot of lands and unfortunately does not have anything going on at the moment. And beating down or taking this Thought-Knot Seer turn after turn is going to be tough.
Yeah, so the question was raised during the break by director Norman Cohen. The time warp just seems so much cooler, and when is it not as good? Well, this would be an example of a time when drawing the time warp would be significantly worse than drawing Hour of Promise.
Right.
And Karn the Great Creator, a second copy comes down, and because it doesn't have to wish for the coding since it's already acquired, instead of trying to lock down a land is just destroyed. So things get worse for Ricardo. I feel like I'd be fetching the Thin here, but okay, I mean, odds are looking pretty slim regardless of what happens.
There was a couple turns ago where I was kind of curious or wondering, was it worth grabbing that Growth Spiral with Mystic Sanctuary? And I'm wondering, the way things have shaken out, I wonder if that would have been helpful just to kind of dig a little deeper into our deck.
It's card neutral, and you just get an extra... Oh. Yeah, because it's card neutral, right? You just get an extra land in play?
I guess it is the card neutral, yeah. Okay.
But that's still something.
Yeah. I don't think this is going very well for Ricardo at the moment.
No, it's not. With the multiple fetch lands in play, I feel like I would have been more aggressive on thinning. But, okay. That's, I mean, as everyone knows, deck thinning has pretty minimal dividends. However, over the course of a couple turns and with several fetch lands in play, it does add up at least a little bit, or at least I tell myself it does. Maybe I'm deluding myself.
What are your thoughts there on floating mana to give yourself an extra click to have to pass through?
I mean, you got to represent that you're able to win the game, right? It doesn't cost you too much, and it costs you a click, but your opponent has to click too to pass back, right? So
I do like not clicking though.
It's more clicks for everybody. Do you dislike clicking more than you like forcing your opponent to have an extraneous click?
Yes, I like to save myself time. I don't often think about things that will annoy my opponent. I don't want to neutrally do things that are both annoying to us. I'd rather just be not inconvenienced. But I'm also a very lazy Moto player, so I do need to improve on that for sure. Okay, I believe there's a lot of power in play. What are we trying to do? I guess if Ricardo draws an Omnath,
does
that work?
Omnath, draw path, fetch, acquire the mana, path something, gain the 4 life, you survive the turn? Maybe?
Okay, and then we decided.
We continue to get blown out by Karn, though, even if everything else was dead. Sideboarding wise, all right, it looks like Path to Exile number 4 is coming in. That seems like a good idea. The rest of this removal looks a little light. Lightning Bolt and Fire Spout kind of had the same problem as they don't kill Omnath. They don't kill Thought-Knot Seer.
The Celestial Purges are not doing a lot. Aethergust not doing a lot. Whew, there's not a lot to sideboard.
No, this is not a great sideboard for this matchup. In fact, it looks like there's more cards to take out than there are to bring in. Let's go ahead and see what Thomas is working with, already being up a game. And how many relevant cards do we have here? Again, this is a wish board for the Karns, so there is going to be much more limited selection, as a lot of these one-ups that are artifacts probably never come in at all.
Are you bringing in something like Wormcoil Engine? It's not a fantastic wish target.
It's not a great wish target. It's not great against a deck that's... I think you could, if you have cards you don't want, which you very well may because of the Chalice of the Void.
The Chalices, yeah.
Right. But Wormcoil Engine gets wiped out by Path to Exile, and your own life total is not relevant, so you lose that benefit. Yeah, but you're not bringing in Spatial Contortion, so really,
I only see 2 cards you can bring in. Like you can really only bring the Walking Ballista in the Worm Coils to try and get rid of 2 of the chalices. That's kind of all you got.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I'm with you there. That's about all there is. I mean, I don't think you could bring in Sundering Titan if you don't want to wish for it, but that doesn't seem. I mean, you probably just want to wish for it because that card's going to be great.
I had to lean in to read Torpor Orb. It's been a while.
Okay, Torpor Orb would actually be okay also.
Okay.
You
but
lose
it's a
your
nice
thought.
Cheap one, so you can get that one with the card.
Actually, Torpor Orb would be great. In fact, that might be a card you bring in because if you have to wish for it, it's already too late. But just wiping out the Torpor Orb is 2-mana artifact. It wipes out come into play effects. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wipes out your own thought. You wipes out your own Thought-Knot Seer, but you wipe out Uro and Omnath, and that's a lot.
Yeah.
As we can see that it being into play right now would be very good. Unfortunately, that is a different 2-mana artifact.
One you have less hopes on.
Maze Mind Tome's still fine. And again, this is just something you can do on 2 mana, and it's not probably disrupting you very much, especially if Chalice of the Void got boarded out in the matchup.
Okay, so the Teferi is going to bounce the Maze Mind Tome. Give it a little value on the way out, though.
Sure, why not? Yeah, and it's pointed out in the chat. Yeah, I mean, Torpor Orb is also questionable against Uro. It does deny the triggers. It also denies the death trigger. Ooh. So if you have an answer for it, then it's you'd rather have it in play. If you don't have an answer for it, then yeah, maybe you're worse off. And so there is significant trade-off there that probably is.
Sorry, I wanted to highlight, going into this turn, we actually couldn't cast Omnath until we drew this Misty Rainforest. Ricardo did not have access to red mana until this Misty was drawn. So that was a good draw. Very, very good draw. Yeah.
And now this Omnath comes in and is going to...
I spy a Time Warp.
Oh, yeah. Next turn's going to be real, real good.
2 paths, a Ren and 6. Ricardo's pretty set up.
Oh!
Wait, is that Tron?
Yes, it did.
Goodness. Oh my goodness.
Thomas is one of the hated Tron players that's just like, I mean, it wasn't turn 3, but like there was no searching there. There was just
searching at all.
There was there was 2 scrying activations and the Tron's assembled.
Was it a Walking Ballista? Walking Ballista, yeah. Oh, I can't even be upset because I actually am one of those Tron players, but I'm still mad.
Everyone should be upset over things like that. I almost rather get like turn 1 killed than have my Eldrazi Tron opponent have Tron on turn 3. And this isn't even that, but it's still annoying. All right, so Ballista comes down, wipes out the Omnath, and is left with just 1 counter. So Renin 6 could pick it off. This is I doubt we'll see Time Warp this turn. There are some choices here. Uro plus Renin 6 is pretty clean.
That leaves us a access to path after all the dust settles, correct?
Yeah, if the mana is done in a way that could allow for that, yes, and that seems pretty nice.
Okay.
Wow.
Looks like we're gonna just pass. Okay, because we can Time Warp at the end of turn if we wanted to.
Right, because we do have Is that sure? I mean that's nice, but
that's what we're doing. We're doing it on their main phase.
What did we?
Oh, we're doing it in response to Thought-Knot Seer.
We're doing in response to Thought-Knot Seer. It's unclear to me what we gained by waiting.
Right.
This could have been okay. So I have a few issues with this. Well, if we would have Time Warped and then taken a new turn, okay, obviously that's fine. What happens now is we Time Warped, but the Teferi is going to die. And if we would have Time Warped main phase, the Teferi would be alive.
Wait. Is it going to die?
Yes. Well, it can. Thomas doesn't have to kill it, but if the Ballista pumps,
Thomas could have pumped up the Walking Ballista.
Yeah, he actually still can. He can pump it once. Okay, he didn't choose to do that. The Ballista could have pumped once, attacked the Teferi, and then shot it once.
Oh my goodness. Sorry, we spent so much effort talking about how bad these chalices are, except they're great because we have 2 paths in it. Ricardo has 2 paths in hand.
Yeah, you're right.
Uh-oh. Is it possible that Ricardo's line kind of falls into that fancy play trap? Like
yes.
we could do that, but did we need to? Like
Yes.
I've fallen for that so many times.
Sure. I mean, it's very easy to do. It happens all the time. And yeah, I think.
Well, we get to cast again. We might. How infinite can we go?
No, I don't think we're going infinite at all. I don't.
Well,
think...
we get another turn after this.
You're right.
Like we have the floating turn from.
Right. You're right.
Time. We got a couple.
Which means Teferi. Oh, this is okay. So because of the extra turn, that means Teferi can bounce the chalice and allow the Path to Exiles to be played.
Nice.
Yeah, boy.
We also how close? So Ren is at 4, I think. So I don't think we're gonna be able to get Ren to ultimate before we give up our ultimate or our sorry, not our infinite turns, infinite in quotation, because we have 2 more sanctuaries to go get.
Right.
So that would put, yeah, I think that's going to fall 1 short for Ren. Plus, Walking Bliss can take something on the way out. Okay.
Wow, this is really. I mean, this is really abusive. What this deck can do when it gets set up like this. I still. I really question some of the decisions that led to this point, but we're here now, and yeah, this recurring time warp with the fetch lands basically is just. I mean, even if you have nothing else, which there isn't. I mean, currently, Ricardo doesn't have anything else. Just adding loyalty is just the time warps are just cantrips that add loyalty to your planeswalkers, and that's pretty good.
Yeah. But I will say that Mystic Sanctuary is doing a lot of the heavy lifting here.
Yeah.
Which is a card that has polarizing opinions from people, I believe. I know that it has affected Modern in such a way that has kind of annoyed people. So this is our last infinite turn. Though I should stop calling them infinite turns because we are out of sanctuaries. 3 is an interesting number. It feels like 3 sanctuaries has fallen us short a couple times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here's exactly what you predicted. The chalice being bounced. Oh, hold on. I'm totally wrong. We do get to ultimate Ren because we get to tick up.
Yeah.
Ren ticked up already, I think.
Yeah, it did, but that's okay. That's enough.
Yeah, because we got 1 more. Oh, wow.
Because I mean, we have already surplus land. Each of those lands is now a time warp.
Oh, gosh. Okay. So I totally miscounted. I mean, it's hard to.
Okay, so the Ballista just shot the run in 6 for 1.
Okay.
So to prevent the ultimate.
We get a card here. So it needs to be cryptic, I think. Can it be cryptic?
Ooh, it's a land. So this is all going to kind of come apart right here, it looks like, as when Thomas gets the turn back, the chalice can come back down. The Karn can do whatever it wants, and despite all, the time warps added loyalty to the planeswalkers and cantripped and did nothing else.
So I actually know one thing that Thomas can do. And in their sideboard, they have a copy of Sky Sovereign Consul's Flagship, which could theoretically take a bolt at Ren 6. If that's the big fear here is, do we want Ricardo to have this ultimate? So something to consider.
Well, Sorcerer's Spyglass is probably also in the sideboard. That would be another way to go.
Let me see. I actually have to tell you, we have Pithing Needle, but not Spyglass. But that's also a little cheaper, a little less flary, whatever. Sometimes I work hard at a problem when there's an easier solution. Okay.
Oh my gosh, the card that locks down that turns things into artifacts.
Liquid Metal Coating.
Liquid Metal Coating would also take care of the problem. Although that would not probably be the ideal way to go about it. Yeah,
I think I like your simplest is best in the Pithing Needle, and we probably know that there is not any artifact interaction in Ricardo's list, so there's no fear of that Pithing Needle going away. other than Teferi, I guess.
Thomas, thinking this through here, I think I would...
Hold on. Sorry.
Okay.
Pithing Needle doesn't work because Teferi's at 3.
Oh, you're right.
So it would have to be... Oh, fancy play for the win. It would have to be something that really stops the Renin 6 with damage.
Right.
So Walking Ballista is an option, but we don't know if there's any in the sideboard.
I think given that, with the amount of mana that Thomas has available, I wouldn't mind seeing the Maze Mind Tome activate to draw here to kind of give another card to see. The hand's already got 6 cards in it, so there's a lot of action as it is. But if there's
one of them is Chalice of the Void, which I imagine would have to come back for 1 just to stop something like a Bolt interacting with Karn. Oh, I guess that doesn't work because, maybe we just... Thomas knows that there's not a Bolt in action because Ricardo would have bolted the Karn already. So,
well, also, because was it last game was the Bolt had, or was that this game? That was last game, right?
That was last game. This game wasn't.
Yeah. Thomas does know a few cards in hand. Well, actually, I was gonna say he knew there was a path. I think he knew there was. I think he saw both of them when he played the Dawn on Seer. So he knows there's at least 1 left. And he might know that there's a land or 2 in hand, but obviously he has no way of knowing how bad Ricardo's hand actually is.
Yep. Okay.
All right. Ugin the Ineffable comes down. That'll do a lot. It can deal with Renin 6. It also makes most of the rest of Thomas's deck cheaper. It actually makes the Chalice of the Void free, as it does reduce the cost of all your colorless spells by 2. And so Chalice of the Void with 1 counter now doesn't cost any mana.
There was a free relic came down as well, which even though the Renin 6 has been dealt with, the relic can still stop any sort of Hail Mary plays at getting that time work back. So I think that was a huge turnaround for Thomas. I guess that Walking Ballista just doing that 1 extra damage to Renin 6.
Yeah.
I bring it back up again. Maybe 3 Mystic Sanctuaries, is not quite enough. That 4th one might have mattered.
We can. The 4th one definitely would have mattered. It was not that it might have mattered. It would have mattered.
Yeah.
At the cost of that's something to maybe for deck builders think about. Can we fit 1 more in?
Probably not. I have to imagine 3 was picked for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah. So coding comes in. Chalice of the One comes back down. Something that irritates me. So we're kind of going through different things in Eldrazi decks that irritate us. Something else that irritates for me is decks that play Chalice intending on naming it on a number that they then have spells that cost that much that they want to play. In this case, it's Relic of Progenitus or Expedition Map. So when they go turn 1 that, turn 2 Chalice, I always want to tear my hair out. Reality Smasher comes down, wipes out the Teferi. So all in all, I would say this is a pretty productive turn. There's still 4 mana available and Maze Mind Tome unused, so it's still a card to be drawn. And
the tables have turned by a lot. Ricardo, I cannot think of some crazy draws. Jace is probably the coolest thing just because, you see a lot more cards. We've got a lot of fetches to get rid of. So, but Steam Vents, probably not it.
No. And Ricardo, nothing that, he floods out. We can't deny that Ricardo drew quite a few more lands than he was hoping for there. But, Ricardo also got to do more or less what he wanted, and it just ended up being a little bit short. 1 more planeswalker, one creature, really anything on the board during that time warp sequence probably would have wrapped the game up. It wasn't there, and Thomas eventually gets a turn and just goes crazy.
Yeah, I think Cryptic was something that would have been a pretty good draw as well, but I think they couldn't be the last card, if I'm thinking correctly, because we wouldn't be able to draw that time warp. So, but, a fun match, right? Like you said, we started off this conversation like, hey, here's these 4-color Omnath, Planeswalker decks, whatever. How are we attacking them in the Eldrazi-tron? And I thought the matchup would actually favor the Omnath player, but I didn't see that, so I'm not sure. I know 1 match, not a big sample, but The Eldrazi player definitely took advantage of just this little bit of slowness from the Omnath player, for sure.
So while we wait to hear whether we're actually going to have time for a backup match this round, something else that I wouldn't normally just ignore, but based on what we just saw, and we've actually seen it twice today in the 4-color decks, we're talking about, can you fit in the 4th Mystic Sanctuary? Well, people obviously have chosen to play 3, so maybe not. Is this a scenario where it's a tutorable card? Is it worth, in some cases, just going to 61 so you have the 4th one in the deck? Because this is a tutorable card that clearly matters, and having a 4th copy would have maybe turned the result of that game. That's something that I would think about if this is a deck that I was playing.
Yeah, I think we saw both 4-color matches falling short on that Wrenn and 6 ultimate because of running out of gas with those Mystic Sanctuaries. So interesting idea. I know you may or may not know this, but I have dabbled in the 41 card Unlimited before. And to the aggravation of many. So I have not really dabbled too much in the 61 constructed deck, but I did hear the Oops All Spells list in Modern have not found a happy medium on the number of cards they want in their deck. I've heard things of like 64, 68, 63.
Well, okay. In their defense, normally one of the reasons to stick to the minimum is so that your mana develops correctly. If you're not playing any lands already in the first place, I guess it doesn't matter as much.
But, well, they still need their mana to develop.
Yeah. Okay, so it sounds like we don't have a backup this round, as the quality on it is pretty low, but that's okay. We're going to talk, we have a few minutes here before we get things turned around for the next round. Caroline, you recently had a pretty big achievement for yourself, something that's not often attained by people who play 41 cards in Limited.
It's only happened one time.
So why don't you tell us about something, about your accomplishment, and we'll kind of get into that and what that's going to change, or what that's giving you access to that you didn't have before, or experience.
For sure. So recently I was participating in a standard league called the Venus and Mercury League. It is a league for people of marginalized genders. We're actually in our 3rd season, so we've been running all of 2020. It's a standard league, so it actually takes place over 8 to 9 weeks of play, so 2 months, where you're playing with the same individuals over and over. The main structure of the event is you are broken into pods of 8. In this case, we had 64 players. So we had 8 pods of 8, and you play round robin everyone in your division. So you actually know your schedule up front. You know who you're playing on which weeks. And then the way decks go is you submit a deck list every Sunday evening, and then between Monday and the following Sunday, you can schedule your match at any time, which, for what it's worth, is one of the coolest parts of this league, is that players that have full-time jobs, have families, have other commitments, you can say, hey, Tuesday I got a break at lunchtime, you want to play? We have time zone, we have people from Australia, Europe, Japan, like we just have all of it covered. It was really one of the coolest parts. From there, you take your standings. The top player of each division gets a bye in the playoff round.
So let me just clarify for people listening along that might be somewhat unused to something like this. This is basically it's called a league, but it's basically one large tournament played out a match a week instead of all in one day like we're doing here.
Yeah. Okay. The biggest thing you can compare it to is the MPL splits of last year, of 2019. They played a similar style where they played a round robin with everyone in their little pods, and then resulted in various standings from there. So kind of based on that, one thing, just going back to this deck list thing, deck lists are due Sunday, which means that each week you get to do research on who you're playing, what decks they've played, because we have a history of everything, and make a decision based on that, which if I had infinite time, that would be something I would highlight too, is being able to just play your deck one time throughout the whole week and just be able to practice it or learn about sideboarding or know exactly what's happening. Is very different than exactly the thing you're talking about, which is a tournament happening now. You play every round, every hour, you kind of go. This is way more spread out, way more time to figure out your sideboarding, see what you're playing against, stuff like that. So pretty unique.
So you had 64 players.
Yeah.
And how did you finish?
Oh, first.
See, most people would have started with that.
No, because I want to talk about the league. I
Okay.
love the league.
All right.
I happen to have also, okay, if we want to go to bragging rights, I've also won season 2. So I'm back-to-back season winner.
Okay, so 2-time champion.
Yes.
Now, there was a difference in the prize structure between season 2 and season 3.
There was. So both seasons have an entry fee, and the entry fee goes 100% to the prize pool. That's something the organizers have been very passionate about. So there was a nice prize pool, but Wizards did give us a couple different prizes. One, the winner will be going to the Zendikar Rising Championship, so that's me. That's exciting. And then all of the top 8 got to play.
Okay, yeah. Okay, see, here's the problem with this. Your explanation of all this. You're being very respectful of the organizers and the event you just played in. Yes. Most people would start with the fact that they won, talk about what they won, and then maybe mention the rest of it as we trail into a commercial break.
Okay, but just so you know, I am very passionately involved in the promoting of this event. I'm not involved in the organizing of it, but I am definitely involved in the promoting. I've been since season 1. I do coverage for it every week. Mm-hmm. It's just a great thing. I want everyone to have a chance to sign up for season 4 when we do that, which we haven't done yet. But there will be a season. And I will still win the next season, so that's okay.
Okay, well, that we'll definitely have our eye out for that. But as we're still waiting for the end of round 4, I want to take a few minutes and talk about what you actually achieved. So you have earned entry into the next set championship, which is the current equivalent of a Pro Tour.
Yeah, I've been using this Pro Tour. Okay. Is my closest way to assess it.
Okay, so now I'm fairly confident I remember from, I don't know, 10 or 11 months ago, I saw a tweet that I'm almost positive was from you.
Oh, you're the first person to bring this up. I'm excited. I'm ready.
Okay, so, well, then I really hope this is the right one.
It is.
But I believe that you said that you had not qualified for the Pro Tour. They changed the Pro Tour structure to go to regional Pro Tours. And you were disappointed that now you'd never get to play in a real Pro Tour because they were going to the regional system. And then and we went through that, and then we had the regional Pro Tours and the Pro Tour finals, and then now we have kind of the set championships, which are the current equivalent of that. How do you feel this has been a road for you, and you've now achieved being able to compete at what is effectively the highest level now? What does this mean for you? How do you feel about this?
Okay, so the tweet you're referring to, I did basically say something controversial in the sense that, like, hey, I'm sad I'll never get to do this Pro Tour thing. Mm-hmm. And I want to just clarify, I'm not necessarily talking about the Magic part, which at any point, whatever the highest level of play will be, which is in this case the Zendikar Rising Championship, that's still going to happen, and I get to do that, and I'm really excited. But what I don't get to do is I don't get to go to London or Albuquerque or Japan. And for me, following along with my group of friends that did get to go to these Pro Tours, that's the thing that I think I'm going to miss is telling people, getting ready for a see the world, play the game, see the world. We don't get to do that. And that's a little bit on COVID and a little bit on WotC. So yes, I'm very excited. This is my first higher level tournament. I'm going to put a lot of effort into it. It's 2 formats that I actually do enjoy, standard and historic, and no 41 card limiteds for me. So I am excited. But I actually really do love that you bring this up because no one has called me on that, and I was curious about it. So thank you.
Well, no, I'm on top of it. I do my research, and really, actually, what it was is that stuck out in my mind when you originally made the comment, and so
I still stand by it.
I would have felt bad if I'd been wrong about that. I should have rechecked, but looking at tweets from 10 months ago was not easy, so I didn't bother. Anyway, so your first real Pro Tour, we'll call it a Pro Tour, even though it's technically not called that anymore, your first real Pro Tour, that's awesome. I hope you're excited about that. I will tell you, my first few Pro Tours did not have a lot of match wins, but I imagine that the people your friend group, there'll be a lot of support there. So you're probably going to go in fairly well prepared, yeah, I'm excited for you. That'll be awesome. And I guess I'll be watching because I'm not qualified for it. So good for you. That's really cool.
And don't worry, neither. So there are some of people in my friend group, potentially a very close friend, who's not qualified either, which is also a fun little fact.
Oh yeah, so you can lord it over them. That's even better because that way, if you go 0-7 with a game win, then you can say I won more games in this pro tour than you did to all of the people you know that aren't qualified, because that's what I would do. So that's perfect.
Yeah. I have to say, I am extremely lucky. I am going to be testing with like Paulo and Matt Nass and just people that have been
some random
super
scrubs that you lined up to help you out. That's, yeah.
It's amazing. So here's the thing. If you ever want someone to agree to something, have them agree before it's confirmed. So I said, hey, can I test with you if I win? So then when I won,
and then they were like, Caroline, what are the odds that this will hurt us in any way? What are the chances it even matters? Sure, we'll be nice. Yeah. And then you showed them. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're still waiting to get this round turned around. Round 5, I believe our next round will be Caroline's last round for the day, and then we'll be bringing Will Kruger for the last couple rounds as well as the top 8. So if you are looking forward to hear what he has to say versus Caroline's opinions, you can stick around. And if you're not looking forward to him and you can't stand Will Kruger, you can stick around anyway because I'll still be here. In the meantime, the players are making their way through their matches. Sometime, it would be convenient if all the players finished their matches at the same time.
Yeah, it would be nice. Players, if you can make a note of that, that'd be nice. Thank you.
I have yet to see that happen in real life or online. Even if we have, even if you're on an 8-person draft pod at a store on Friday night, someone invariably finishes in 10 minutes and someone takes 45 minutes, and it's just, yeah. All right, so we only have one match left though in this round, so that should be wrapped up pretty soon. So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with round 5 of our modern coverage today. Thanks for joining us.